Episode 2, Chapter 1, The Princess Problem. Chapter 1, The Princess Problem. January 10, 1000 AD. Chrono? The voice came through the darkness. Chrono. More insistent. Wake up, Chrono. The red-haired teen sighed and opened his eyes. His mother was there, gently shaking him. She apparently had not noticed he was awake, and was growing a little irritated. Chrono, if you don't wake up right now I'll... It's okay, Mom. I'm awake. Chrono grunted. Mind getting out so I can get dressed? Chrono's mother sighed, then agreed. Fine. Before she left, though, she went over to the blinds and opened them wide. Lean's bell sounds so nice in the morning, doesn't it? Ack. Bright light. Bright light. Oh, please. Without another word, she walked downstairs. Chrono was about to get dressed, when he saw the cat sitting on the rug, watching him. Go on, get outta here. You're a girl too. Scoot. The cat's only response was a sleepy purr. He sighed. Fine, then. Looks like we'll have to do this the hard way. Roar. Chrono's mom turned to see the flying cat collide with the bottom of the stairs. Chrono. How many times have I told you not to throw the cat? No response. Like that's new. She muttered to herself as she went back to cooking breakfast. Teenagers. A few minutes later, the youth came running downstairs. Hey, Mom. What's for breakfast? Hardtack and swill. How many times have I told you to comb your hair? Chrono grinned cheekily. It is combed. Your hardtack and swill looks suspiciously like pancakes and sausage to me. His mom smiled. I never could put anything past you. Hey, that was great. Thanks. Chrono jumped to his feet. But now, I have to go see the fair. Again. His mom groaned. Honestly? Well, here's your allowance at any rate. She tossed him a pouch. He caught it and opened it. 200 GP. Mooum. Hey, you know as well as I do that we agreed your allowance would be docked until it paid for the dishwasher incident. Chrono grumbled. I keep telling you, that was Luca's fault. Why would I want to set a dishwasher on fire? Chrono's mom rolled her eyes. Sometimes I wonder. Besides, I'm sure her parents are punishing her too. That reminds me, I promised Lara I'd help her take a visit to the park today. Chrono remembered. About Luca's mom, and her legs. Well, you had better not forget, or Luca might blow up your washing machine too. She already did. Now scoot. The fair was a little fun, as usual, but all the things were starting to get dull. Chrono made his usual rounds. First to the strength tester, where he managed to accumulate 5 points before hitting his own foot with the hammer, then to the drinking contest. He lost that 1-by-1 can. He also noted a nearby little girl, crying about her lost cat. As he was crossing to the battle robot, a girl zoomed out of nowhere and he was unable to stop himself from smashing into her. Ow! Both of them went flying. The girl was the first to recover. Hey! Where'd my pendant go? Chrono got up and walked over to her, where she was frantically searching the ground.
Hey, are you alright?
She muttered absently.
Yeah, I'm fine. Don't tell me I lost it.
Chrono saw something glittering on the other side of the large bell. It was her pendant. He quickly picked it up and walked back over.
Is this yours?
The girl did an ecstatic jump.
Yes. Thank you. It's a family antique, and has a lot of sentimental value.
She hastily placed it back around her neck.
Oh, sorry I was so rude. My name's Marl. And you are?
Chrono grinned.
The name's Chrono. Chrono, nice to meet you.
She suddenly seemed nervous.
I'm kind of a stranger around here. Would you mind showing me around?
Chrono thought for a moment, then grinned again. Why not?
Sure, no problem.
Marl smiled, relieved.
Great. Where to first?
The next stop was the robot battle trainer, built by Chrono's friend Luca. Chrono managed to defeat it, although his head was ringing from the spring-loaded boxing glove for a little while afterwards. Just outside, they spotted an old man looking around frantically.
Where'd my lunch go? It was here just a second ago.
Chrono saw movement out of the corner of his eye, and turned. He laughed. Marl and the old man followed his gaze and also began laughing at the sight of a tiny kitten attempting to drag a large pink package down an alley. Chrono picked up the kitten, which gave a squeaky growl and sank its teeth into his knuckles. The teen winced.
Ow! I'm betting this little terror belongs to that little girl I met earlier. Come on, Marl.
She followed as the old man waved goodbye before picking up his lunch again. The girl was very grateful. Chrono and Marl went back to the first plaza, where a race was about to start. The 4 contestants were all in costumes. The first was in a Guardia jailer's armor, and labeled himself the Steel Runner. Second was a guy in a green reptilian costume, and called himself the Green Ambler. The third, G.I. Jogger, was dressed in medieval castle guards gear from around 600 AD. And the last. Chrono blinked. It was a cat. The roster said Cadillac. Marl giggled.
How much does it cost to bet?
She asked the man at the booth.
Nothing, ma'am. It's a special event.
Chrono grinned.
My favorite kind. Put me down for the Green Ambler.
The man rode for a moment, then turned to Marl.
And you, miss? Cadillac.
As it turned out, the winner was Cadillac. Marl accepted 20 silver points as the prize.
So, what do we do with these things anyways? We've got 20 each now. Well, we could exchange them for GP. Boring.
Chrono smiled evilly.
Or? There's always that.
He pointed at a black tent in a small corner. The intense was a giant skull.
The tent of horrors.
Marl smiled.
Now, that's more fun. You sure it's safe? Yeah, I go there all the time. The proprietor, Norstein Beckler, is a little creepy, but he's a good guy. You'll love it.
The tent was like the inside of the dungeon. In the back, a large barred door housed a pair of glowing eyes. Marl stifled a scream as she saw the proprietor. Norstein Beckler was a floating face, with 2 floating hands.
Welcome to Norstein Beckler's lab. The spine-tingling show is about to start.
Chrono waved.
Hey, Beckler. How you been?
The head smiled.
Chrono. Come to win another Poyozo doll. Nah. The latest one has survived the cat so far. I think I'll try the 40-point game.
Marl stared at him.
40. But you only have 20.
Beckler grinned at her.
Repeat customers get a discount, girl. Chrono here has been coming here nearly every day since the carnival started.
Chrono handed over the points.
So, Beckler, what's the game?
The weirdo flipped a switch, and the door in the back slammed open.
For 40 points. The game is Copy Clone.
Marl gasped as a perfect clone of Chrono walked out of the back. Norstein laughed.
The game is simple. Mimic what the clone does.
Chrono followed along perfectly until near the end, where he tripped and smashed headfirst into the clone. With a poof of smoke, it disappeared.
Too bad. Game over.
Beckler turned to Marl.
Care to play a game?
Marl thought for a moment, then asked,
What are there?
He smiled.
There's the 10-point game, the 40-point game and the 80-point game. The names of the games and the prizes are surprises. Hey, I made a rhyme.
He seemed quite pleased with himself. Marl quickly figured out she had only one option.
10-point game, please.
Beckler flipped another switch.
For 10 points. The game is Guess Who?
3 identical soldiers walked out and named themselves as Vix, Wedge and Pete. They then ran around in a mess until Marl wasn't sure who was who anymore. Beckler called out, Find Vix. Marl looked around, then selected one. The soldier looked grumpy.
Is it that obvious?
Beckler laughed.
You lost fair and square, boys. Here's the prize.
A fluffy object suddenly fell from the ceiling and landed on Marl's head. She picked it up and looked at it. It appeared to be a stuffed representation of a Kilwilla, an intelligent monster that got along well with humans.
It's a Poyozo doll. It'll spruce up your room.
Marl smiled.
Great. I think I'll hang on to my other 10 points. Never know when I might need 'em.
As Chrono and Marl turned to leave, Beckler yelled,
Hey, Chrono. Did ya hear? Luca's setting up a new invention up north. Who's Luca?
Marl asked Chrono, who responded,
An inventor friend of mine. She's the one who built the battle robot. Shall we go see?
They quickly ran up north, stopping only so Marl could buy some candy. At the machine, they saw a small crowd, but none of them seemed willing to test it. Chrono couldn't really blame them, after what some of Luca's other inventions had done. The scientist herself was yelling at people to come up. Nobody was listening. Then she saw Chrono.
Chrono. Get your lazy butt up here and show them it's safe.
Chrono reluctantly came forward.
I dunno, Luca. Remember the moon rocket incident?
Luca blushed.
Ah, that was a fluke. Get up there.
Chrono thought desperately.
I heard these things cause brain damage. Nah, I tested it myself. No brain damage whatsoever. Just move.
Chrono limply shuffled onto the left pod.
Why do I get the feeling I'm gonna regret this?
The next thing he knew, he was on the right pod, and everybody was cheering. His eyes automatically found Marl, who was yelling at the top of her lungs.
Go Chrono! Woohoo!
Luca looked amazed.
It worked.
Chrono registered this.
What d'ya mean, it worked? I thought you said you tested this on yourself.
Luca blushed.
Well, kinda. I ended up in the tree out front.
Chrono facepalmed and got down. Marl ran up.
Wow, what a kick. Can I try it too?
Luca blinked.
Hey, Chrono, where'd you find her?
Without waiting for approval, Marl dashed onto the right pod. Chrono watched as the machine hummed, starting up. But nothing happened until her pendant started to glow. Marl looked at it, confused.
Huh? What they?
She broke off with a scream as she began to dissolve into floating blue sparkles. Desperately, she wrenched the pendant off, but it was too late. A blue portal appeared above the machine, and Marl disappeared into it, screaming. The crowds ran away from the machine like bats out of hell. Only Chrono, Luca and Taban, Luca's dad, were left.
Luca! What the hell just happened?
Taban asked.
I don't know. Some weird reaction to the pendant.
While they argued, Chrono walked over to the telepod. He knew what he had to do. And so, he picked up the pendant and put it around his own neck. As he began to break up, he heard Luca and Taban screaming at him. And then, darkness. January 10, 600 AD. When Chrono came to, he was lying on the floor of a meadow. What concerned him more, however, were the 3 blue imps who were going through his pockets.
Hey! Get away from me!
One of the imps ran for cover, but the other 2 prepared to fight. Chrono frowned.
The hard way, eh? Fine by me.
10 seconds later, the imps were minus their heads and Chrono walked on. Once he crossed the bridge, a pair of blue eaglets dropped off 2 more battle-hungry imps. They took no more effort than the other 2. Chrono stopped and wiped off his sword.
Messy buggers.
From then on, it was smooth sailing to the exit.
The hell?
Chrono yelled. He saw his hometown, True's village, up ahead, but everything was different. More primitive. It was like he had gone back in time.
Maybe I did. No telling what that portal was.
The teen mused.
Where to go for information?
He asked himself. He then smacked himself in the forehead.
Duh. The tavern.
At the tavern, Chrono managed to pick up that he was in 600 AD, during the Mystic War. Chrono struck up a friendship with a ragged-looking man with one eye. After a while, the man muttered to Chrono,
Listen, bud. If I were you, I'd try to blend in a little more. People looking like you can get dragged off to the castle for being under suspicion of mysticism. None of them ever come out again.
Chrono blinked.
Hey, thanks.
The man grunted.
Didn't cost me anything to say it.
He got up and paid his tab, then turned to Chrono again.
And whatever you do, stay away from the cathedral. There's something weird going on there.
Without another word, the man walked out. Chrono stared after him.
Strange guy.
The bartender chuckled.
Yeah. You would never guess by looking at him that he was Tomalovine, eh?
Chrono froze. That guy was Tomalovine? The famous explorer who had discovered practically the entire northeast world? Chrono was jolted out of his thoughts by a pair of heavy metal-clad hands crashing down on his shoulders. Turning, he saw a couple soldiers frowning. The first one said,
Yeah, I think this is the one.
The second agreed.
Yep. Let's take him to Queen Lean.
Before Chrono could protest, he was dragged off. The forest was more dangerous than Chrono remembered. In his time, all you had to worry about were shroom-like headaches and giant beetles, and rarely a mischievous avian chaos. In this time, though, both wild and tame rollies lurked around every corner, the tame ones being ridden by green imps, and blue eaglets waited to dive. The soldiers, however, made their way through with an efficiency that suggested they had done this many times. Chrono looked at his wooden sword and reminded himself to get a better one sometime soon. At the castle, they were greeted by a young lady in a flowing white dress.
Queen Lean.
Both soldiers bowed. The queen looked at Chrono, who saw something oddly familiar. The queen turned to the guards.
The king would like to talk with him first. I shall be waiting in my room.
She left through the large double doors behind her, and after a few minutes, the guards led Chrono through as well. Chrono barely stopped himself from gaping as he bowed before King Guardia 15, the greatest king in history. The monarch looked down at him.
So, you would be the one who rescued my wife from the canyon. I thank you.
What? Chrono almost yelled. The king went on.
I believe she would like to talk with you. Afterwards, you may rest in the knight's quarters, to the left of the front door.
Chrono bowed again, but he noticed to the left, the elderly chancellor was glaring at both him and the guards with incredible hatred. What's with him, I wonder? In the queen's room, Chrono found her attended by two maids. As soon as the queen saw him, she asked the maids to leave. Once they were gone, she almost whispered, "Chrono, come here." Chrono straightened his back.
All right, ma'am. If you don't mind, I'd like to know how you know my name, and why you said I rescued you.
The queen smiled.
You doof. Don't you recognize me? It's Marl.
Chrono almost fell over.
Marl.
She nodded.
When I came to, I was in the canyon. I fought my way out. Wait. You fought your way out?
Marl smiled again, a little grimly this time.
Don't underestimate me, Chrono. I'm a dead shot with a crossbow. Anyways, I fought my way out, then in the village, I was found by these guards who thought I was the queen. They took me here, and it seems everybody else thinks so too. I thought you would follow me, so I told everybody that you got me out of the canyon and asked them to find you.
She stopped for a moment before going on.
Chrono? Somehow, I knew you would come find me.
She stopped again, and Chrono noticed the room was taking on an eerie green hue. Marl doubled over as if in severe pain.
Ah! Feels like I'm being torn apart. Chrono! Help me!
And with that, she exploded into nothingness. Chrono was in shock as he walked down the stairs. Fortunately, it seemed nobody had heard. What had happened to Marl? His musing was interrupted by a collision. It was Luca. She got up and dusted herself off.
Watch where you're going, you doof. Where's the princess?
Chrono mumbled, "What princess?" Luca snorted.
You dummy! Marl. She's Princess Nadia.
And for the second time in 5 minutes, Chrono was in shock.
Oh, this is so not good,
he muttered. Luca shook him by the shoulders.
Snap out of it. Where is she? She kinda exploded.
Now it was Luca's turn to be in shock.
She exploded. Yeah. Chrono, Yeah.
Luca screamed.
What do ya mean she exploded?
Chrono jumped and covered her mouth.
Shh! I was the only one there, and I do not want to catch the blame for this.
Luca nodded, and Chrono removed his hand.
Okay. So, any idea why she exploded?
Luca frowned.
Easy. Queen Lean gets kidnapped. They look for her. They find Marl and call off search. Queen Lean dies, cutting off the royal line. Marl is blown out of existence, and within a few hours, Paradox destroys the universe.
Chrono was gaping at the end of this.
Damn! That is not good.
Luca jumped up.
Wait. If we find the real queen and save her before she dies, we can change things back.
Chrono nodded.
Let's look around. You check the kitchens, I'll check the knight's quarters.
In the knight's quarters, several different topics of conversation were going on. Chrono picked a group and listened intently.
So, how long has Sir Cyrus been gone? 10 years now. Yeesh. I mean, the captain's great, but... I know. What about that friend of his, Glenn? Any sign of him? None.
This didn't seem to be important. Chrono moved on to another group.
Hey, whatever happened to that mystic leader, Yakra? What, the guy who used to head the ones on this side of the bridge? Big, ugly yellow bug. Yeah, that's him. Nobody's seen him for a while, have they? No. He disappeared around the time the cathedral was refurbished and they started carting off people with mystic sympathies to there.
Now he was getting somewhere. Combined with the hint about the cathedral from Toma, Chrono decided it was time to go meet with Luca. Luca wasn't having much success at first, and she was quickly getting bored with the gossip about the rivalry between the head chef and his brother, the knight captain. The most interesting thing she had heard so far was how the queen has asked for something called ice cream.
Hey, did you hear? They carted off 2 guards just a few minutes ago.
Luca's ears perked up and she silently moved closer to the pair of maids.
Really? 2 guards? Yeah. Not only that, but they were the same 2 who brought in that guy. The one who wanted to see Queen Lean.
Luca straightened up. That was just too much of a coincidence. Time to talk with Chrono. After sharing their information, Chrono and Luca came to the same conclusion: something fishy was definitely going on at the cathedral. Chrono saw movement, and turned to see the Chancellor leaving the castle.
Hey, there goes the Chancellor. Come to think of it, he was giving me a funny look earlier, too.
Luca resisted the urge to wallop him.
Then let's go. Cathedral, ho!
The duo quickly lost the Chancellor in Guardia Forest. Once they were through, though, the cathedral was easy to find. Inside, there was no sign of anything wrong. 3 nuns were cleaning the pews, and a 4th was dusting the piano.
Excuse me? Has the Chancellor been here lately?
The nun being addressed looked up.
I'm afraid not.
Chrono sighed, then looked around. Nothing seems unusual. Maybe they were wrong. Luca, on the other hand, was more suspicious. Her eyes soon caught a sparkle in the carpet, and she bent to pick it up.
Hey, Chrono, come here.
It was a coral hairpin. There was a design on it. Was it? It was.
That's Guardia's royal crest. How observant of you!
Came from a nun. Chrono and Luca looked up to see the nuns had surrounded them. Laughing evilly, the sisters were enveloped in blue fire, and morphed into Nagaets, a half-woman, half-snake breed of mystic. Luca snarled.
A trap! Chrono, use your cyclone technique.
He nodded and jumped into the fray, then began whirling his sword around him at high speed. The effect was augmented greatly when Luca pulled out a device that shot a small fireball onto the tip of the sword, creating a flaming wheel of death. When Chrono stopped, 3 Nagaets were dead. So was his wooden sword, unfortunately. He glared at Luca, who shrugged.
Don't blame me. Hey, weren't there 4 of them?
The answer became evident when the 4th pounced on Luca, hissing. Luca fell back and screamed. Which was when the man jumped out of the rafters and swung his sword upward, sending the split Nagaet through a window.
Lower thy guard, and thou art allowing the enemy in.
Luca's rescuer said. Luca got up.
Thanks.
That was when she saw his face and screamed again. He was a frog. Actually, a more accurate description would be a half-frog, half-man. He blinked at her reaction.
My guise doth not incur thy trust, it seems.
He shrugged sadly, as if dismissing the thought.
Very well, do as thy please. But I shalt save the queen.
Chrono walked up.
Hey, buddy, we never said anything. As it happens, we're trying to save her too. Maybe we could do it together.
The frogman blinked again.
I wouldst gladly accept thine offer, but I believe the lass may be having problems.
Luca made an obvious effort to control herself, and looked him in the face.
I can handle it. What's your name? Frog will do for now. Perhaps a hidden door lurks nigh? Let us search the environs.
They all looked around, but none of them found anything. Chrono grumpily cursed.
Damn it all!
On the last word, he pounded his fist onto the piano the nun had been dusting. The moment he did, a grinding sound was heard, and a section of wall disappeared, revealing a door.
Good job, Sir Chrono.
Frog congratulated him, and they all ran in. Chrono glanced to the left and dodged backwards. Shh!
Diablos!
Frog looked. Sure enough, to the left of the door were 3 of the grey gargoyle-looking mystics. Luca pulled him back.
I'll handle this.
With that, she pointed a strange apparatus at the 3 mystics. There was a green flash, and all 3 were asleep.
Hypno wave. Let's go.
The next door led to a choice: they could go left to the main hall, or straight up to the mezzanine. Chrono turned to his allies.
Well? Any choices?
Frog murmured.
The mezzanine wouldst be mine choice.
Luca agreed, and Chrono nodded.
Mezzanine it is, then.
The first door they found was open a crack. Frog peeked in, then blanched.
'Tis some sort of break room. Nay, lad and lass. 'Tis not a pretty sight. A Diablos leaves.
At this, the 3 ducked behind the door as it opened. The Diablos paused, but went around the mezzanine. The 3 followed at a safe distance to another door. Inside, the Diablos was praising a statue, along with 2 more and 2 Nagaets.
Nothing for us in there.
Chrono muttered.
Now what?
They looked over the rail. Below, the main hall was patrolled by 2 Nagaets and 2 purple snake gnashers. There was another mezzanine across from the 3.
We'd probably want to check that other mezzanine out. But how, without alerting the guards?
Frog grinned.
Simple.
He pointed at the large curtain hanging from the huge stained glass window above the main hall. 5 minutes and one nervous climb later, the three made it across and looked in the first door. It appeared to be some sort of treasure room.
Yoza!
Chrono yelled. In the first chest, he found a steel samurai sword to replace the wooden one. The second chest held a healing potion, and the third some armor that fit only Luca.
Must be been designed for Nagaets,
she mused as she looked around. The mirror next to the chests was crooked. On a hunch, she checked behind it. A small white bottle. As she put it in her pocket, 3 henches charged in.
They're after the bromide. Get 'em.
The first one charged Chrono, ready to bash his head in, then gasped and slid off the blade, lifeless. The second ran at Frog and was split in 2. The last one charged Luca. For a moment, it thought it had her, helpless. Then it found itself looking into the barrel of a gun.
Surprise!
The other door on the mezzanine was locked. After a moment's searching, Chrono found a skull-shaped switch on the wall, and sure enough, it unlocked the door. Chrono gasped as they walked in. It was the 2 soldiers that had brought him to Marl. They looked up as they heard him, and smiled.
Somebody's here to save us. Hey, wait, you're that kid we brought to see Queen Lean, right?
Frog's face was quizzical, but Luca whispered,
"We'll explain later."
Chrono grinned at them.
No problem. Listen, go out of here and down to the main floor. Go through the door right in front of you. Turn left and kill the 3 Diablos, then right at the end to get out of here.
The soldiers nodded and ran out.
Now, we need to get through that big door down below,
Luca whispered.
But those stinking snakes are guarding it. Any ideas?
Chrono grinned.
Of course. Be ready to jump.
Before either she or Frog could respond, he dug his sword into the carpet and brought it forward, shooting a key wave forward that sliced through the huge curtain that they had climbed on before. Chrono leaned over and called out in a perfect impression of a hench's voice, "Heads up!" The curtain covered all the guards, and Chrono jumped down, followed by Frog and Luca. The 3 quickly ran through the door before any of the guards got loose. Up the next staircase, they could go left or right. Both had staircases going down, but the left one had a hench sleeping at the bottom, so they chose the right. The moment they trod on the first step, the staircase turned into a slide, and down they went. The noise alerted a hench, who tried to make a dramatic entrance, sliding down the rail and hit his head on the floor, knocking himself out. The next room had a couple giant bats on the ceiling, but nothing more except another skull switch. Chrono shrugged and hit it. Which was a bad move, as the alarm went off and the bats dove for his neck. Chrono easily diced them, but the damage was done. The next room was a long hall, with 3 henches blocking the way. Easily dealt with. Midway, a note was pinned to the right wall, "No entry." Luca paused.
Yeah, right. How much you wanna bet ya cross back there?
At the end of the hall was a door on the left wall. The next room was empty, except another skull switch.
Better not,
Chrono cautioned.
Until we know what it does.
Now, they were at the bottom of the stairs to the right of the entrance, and that one hench was still sleeping. Frog put his blade to its throat and looked at Chrono, who shook his head.
Nah. Let's question him instead.
Frog nodded and shook the hench. It grunted, and its eyes went wide open.
I'll say this for you. You know what you're doing.
Frog glared.
What be thy name, slime?
The hench gulped.
Murray. Murray the midget. Please don't kill me.
Midget. Chrono looked closer, and saw that the too big armor made it look bigger than it actually was. Frog was not impressed.
What be the way to Yakra?
Murray looked at the blade, gulped again, and answered.
Be behind me, a switch. Opens a room at the top of the entry stairs. Inside. A piano. Opens door next to note in back hall. Heavily guarded.
Chrono looked at him, surprised.
Hey, why'd you tell us it was guarded? You could have kept that quiet and has us wiped out by surprise.
Murray shook.
Look, I'm not a F fanatic like the others here. I was de-drafted, and these B-bums never did anything for me. Quite the opposite, actually. Please don't kill me.
Frog scowled.
Does the Queen still live?
Murray looked at him hopefully.
Yeah, she should, if you hurry. The boss came in just a few minutes ago, and he always takes an hour at least to prepare. Sacrifices.
Frog almost screamed with horror, but Chrono interrupted him.
Murray. When Frog removes his sword, you will leave this place and never come back. Do you hear me?
Murray nodded. Frog disgustedly removed his sword, and Murray ran up the stairs like a bat out of hell.
Cowardly vermin.
Chrono glared at him.
It's better than being an evil fanatic like the rest.
While the two bickered, Luca went back and pressed the skull switch, then herded them into the piano room. 3 henches and 2 Diablos were waiting there.
There they are. Kill 'em.
Their leader said this from behind an altar in the center. Chrono and Luca wiped out a hench and a Diablo with fire whirl, but another hench snuck up behind Luca. It was about to bash her, when something yanked it back. Luca turned to see Frog pull it towards him with his tongue, then chop the enemy in half with his sword. Luca restrained herself from gagging and blew the other Diablo's head in. Chrono took care of the leader, then calmly banged on the piano. Sure enough, when they returned to that note, there was a door. The note now read,
"Try hard enough, and you will find a way in."
Inside, there was a long hall blocked by 2 henches and 2 Nagaets. Frog snarled.
"Queen Lean must be behind yon door, along with the vermin champion."
Chrono grinned.
"Then we'll have to go in there, won't we?" "Prepare yourself, Queen Lean. It is time."
The false chancellor looked at the queen, bound to the altar, and smirked.
"You shall be sacrificed to the great."
He was cut off by the doors barging open.
"What? Who dares?"
Frog, Chrono and Luca charged. With 1 swing each, Chrono and Frog severed Queen Lean's bonds. She sat up.
"Frog. But who are?"
Frog stopped her.
"Your Majesty, stand back and allow us the honor of slaying this miscreant."
Lean nodded and ran near the door.
"Be careful."
The Chancellor was fuming.
"That's what you think, fools. None of you will leave here alive."
He walked to the front of the altar, facing them.
"Stupid toad, always interfering. I think it's time you shuffled off this mortal coil, yes. True. Form. Change."
With that, he began spinning wildly in place, and there was a huge flash of light. When it dimmed, Yakra, the mystic leader, stood there. With a scream, Yakra charged at Frog, knocking him on his butt. He ricocheted around the room, flattening all of them, before stopping. Instantly, Frog and Chrono leapt to their feet.
"Sir Chrono! Dost thou know the X-strike technique?"
Chrono grinned.
Let's go!
With simultaneous battle cries, Chrono and Frog charged at perpendicular angles, ripping a cross open on the monster's back. Yakra screamed again and spat an iron ball at Frog, who stumbled. Not stopping, Chrono performed the cyclone, which Luca turned into a fire whirl. Yakra keeled over, and for a moment, Chrono thought they had won. Then Luca saw his back bulging in 2 places, and screamed.
Watch out, Chrono! It's his specialty, the needle attack.
Too late. The bulges fired, and a grey mass of spines descended on Chrono. Luca pulled out the tonic they had found in the treasure chamber and spilled it over her friend, but Yakra was already charging. That was when Frog's tongue grabbed him by the waist and pulled him in. Frog swung, and Chrono looked up to see Yakra's head fly past him and smack into the wall. With several explosions, Yakra's body began glowing an unearthly rainbow, and his corpse vanished in a blast of light. Queen Lean smiled.
You saved me. Thank you. All of you.
Chrono bowed, and Luca attempted to curtsy but ended up falling on her rear. Everybody laughed at that. Chrono saw a treasure chest moving around behind the altar, and opened it. Everybody jumped as an old man, bound and gagged, jumped out. Queen Lean was the first to recover.
The real Chancellor. I wondered where he was.
The others quickly untied him.
Phew, thank you. That monster's had me crammed in there for days.
Frog smiled grimly and pointed at Yakra's head, still lying in the corner. The Chancellor blanched.
Very good. Shall we return to the castle?
King Guardia was overjoyed to have his queen back, but confused, as was the queen herself when she heard of Marl. Chrono and Luca told them an edited version of their story, making it sound like they came from this time and Marl was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. Frog listened as well. When they finished, he came forward and bowed in front of the throne.
My duty to protect thee has failed, my queen. Yakra's foul deed would not have occurred if I had been on my guard. I hath disgraced thee.
Simultaneously, the king and queen stood up.
Frog. No.
But Frog took no heed, bowed once more, and left. In Queen Lean's room, Marl was waiting in a chair.
Hi, guys.
Luca smiled.
Welcome back, Princess Nadia.
Marl blushed.
Oops. Figured it out, huh?
Chrono smiled and nodded. Marl looked down.
I'm Princess Nadia. My father is King Guardia the 33rd. Listen. The reason I called myself by my middle name was because I didn't think you would help me around if you knew.
Chrono grinned and lightly bonked her on the head.
Yeah, right. That kind of thing doesn't matter. Now, let's go home.
On the way down, Chrono and Luca told Marl the story of Frog, Queen Lean, and Yakra. As they passed by the throne, the king and queen commented on the resemblance. When they walked outside, Frog was waiting. The first thing he did was look closely at Marl, who responded with an eek. Frog was unperturbed.
Indeed, your resemblance to the queen is uncanny, lass.
He then turned to Chrono.
Sir Chrono, thou hast the makings of a master swordsman. Fare thee well, all.
And he left. Luca looked after him as he disappeared into the forest.
Froggy. You weren't such a bad guy either.
That was when Marl whacked her with her crossbow hilt. By mutual consent, they spent the night at the inn. When they came down, Chrono spotted a familiar face at the bar.
Hey, man.
He ran up. Marl and Luca stayed back.
Who's the tramp? No idea.
Toma looked up.
Hey, kid. Heard something went down with you guys at the cathedral. Good work.
Chrono grinned.
Yeah. Yeah, cross dead meat.
Toma looked over at Luca.
You and the girl with glasses. That other girl must be the one who looked like the queen.
Chrono blinked.
Damn. News travels fast around here.
Toma grinned.
Yeah. They're burning the cathedral today.
He got up, ready to go.
In case you were wondering, your froggy friend swam to the south continent. Bridges out don't mean nothing to him.
Toma walked by Marl and Luca, then turned back to Chrono.
Oh, by the way. Rumors say Yakra had a kid. Be on your guard.
He left. Marl looked at Chrono.
Who was that weirdo? Oh, just a friend by the name of Toma Levine.
They made it through the canyon easily, with their only problem being a mischievous Polly. At the spot where they came in, Marl suddenly stopped.
Hey, wait a second. How do we get back?
Luca responded.
One step ahead of you, Marl. Observe.
With that, she pulled a white rod from her pocket, about a foot long. There was a yellow star at one end and a blue orb at the other. She jammed the star end into the spot where they had come out, and the portal reopened. Luca smirked at Chrono and Marl's stares.
My analysis of this phenomenon allowed me to create this gate key. Now we can use these whenever we please.
Marl stopped staring.
Luca, you're amazing.
The other girl cackled.
Ain't it the truth?
She stopped.
I mean...
Marl frowned, mock grumpily.
Cut the false modesty. You have a real gift. I'd trade my royal ancestry for your genius in a heartbeat.
Chrono stepped up.
This conversation is fascinating, girls, but we need to get home.
And with that, they jumped in. End of chapter.